to show the diversity of some of these athletes out there on the water. It's been absolutely amazing here in Sort, Spain. As Anna was saying about the community, as we roll around town, it's a fairly small town. You can walk to everything. There's lots of restaurants and bars. We're getting to eat some of the traditional foods here in town. It's been absolutely amazing. You meet all the different athletes as they're out and about in town. It's becomes a lot of fun here.
I agree. Oh, I'm hearing things about to be getting started here. Again, we're going to have Clement Kennedy from Canada up first shortly here. People waving, cheering him on.
That's right. We're seeing lots of the Canadian fans out there wearing Canadian shirts and stuff. All right, let's see Caleb hopefully dropping into the hole. I don't see Caleb at this point in time. I know there was some boat changing around and switching around because of the trouble of getting boats here. So maybe Caleb hasn't found a boat yet. We haven't had word from that up here in the announcer's booth. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe we'll be starting with the local Spain paddler. We'll just give it a second here and see what's going on.
Yeah, you never know, and that's the, there is a rule, I believe, actually, against boat sharing within your heat, is that correct? Which does make it especially difficult for the limited numbers of OC1s available.
Yeah, that's right, you are not allowed to share with somebody in the same heat, which does make it difficult. They also have to paddle the same boat throughout the entire competition, so prelims, semis, and as well into the finals. So it makes it difficult, as we said earlier, getting some of these boats here. Makes it a challenge for the athletes to be able to compete and find boats. So we're just waiting to see what's going on here. And hopefully we'll get started right away. Amazing setup here. We've got a boom cam right over the hole. Lots of media in the area. I'm seeing cameras around taking pictures. We've got massive grandstands filled up with people. Right now on the river left is where everybody's hiding because it's in the shade, trying to stay out of this crazy heat. I know I brought a bottle of ice water to kind of keep me cool as best as I can here as we are in what I've heard is a record heat wave here in Europe.
I have heard the same thing, and you know, I have to say it really gives me respect for the Spanish style of life. They take the siesta seriously here, and everything closes down in the heat of the day, in that middle of the day, for I think very good reason.
Absolutely. From about 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock, you can't get anything here in town. All the restaurants are closed, all the cafes, stores, everything's closed, and they all they go have a siesta, which is pretty amazing. It's a neat culture here for sure.
It's a good time to also find all of the competitors by the pool.
All right, we are getting word that Caleb is not competing, so we're going to be moving on to our Spain representative, Adria. All right, you can see him coming up into the eddy here.
Paddling what looks to be a homemade modified canoe there.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it's a Robson kayak that he welded some sort of top deck on to make it an open boat. These guys have to be able to hold 40 liters of water inside the boat with them. They actually get the cold water dumped on them. They say it's one of the best parts about being an OC1 paddler. As they're getting ready for our first paddler here at the 2019 World Freestyle Championships put on by the ICF, Town of Sort. You see lots of sponsors. We've got Rock Roy. I saw a Mercedes-Benz dealer. And our first athlete is on the water.
Here he goes, starting things off strongly with a shove it. That's worth, oh, and going right into the spin, showing around those horizontal moves. You'll notice that most of the freestyle moves here are going to move on 2 axes, either horizontal or vertical. You can get points for both those. There he goes, trying to get that shove it, maybe trying to get a cartwheel on the other way. Unfortunately, flushing out of the feature. Now, this is a tough spot to be able to get back up to the top of the eddy. Athletes have 45 seconds in which they can do their ride. Even if they flush off the wave, they can use the remainder of that time to try and retain the feature, go back up and in to start over. You can see him paddling hard here to try and make the most of that time. He makes it back in, shove it the other direction. Oh, almost a back loop. And that will be a solid first ride from our first competitor here at the ICF Canoeing Open Canoe Surface event. How fitting that it is a Spanish paddler.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty amazing that our first competitor is from the host country, Spain. And next up, we've got Landon Miller from the US of A. Let's see him. He'll be up next on the water here in Sort, beautiful Sort, Spain. It's an amazing day. We've got the paddlers on the water here, getting things started. We're trying to get into our announcing groove here as well to the world. So we'll get things going. It's going to be an amazing day. We're going to get some pretty heated action here. Our judges are tallying up the scores. You can see Mark Godbout on the screen there from Canada as we're waiting next for Landon Miller from the US of A.
I think the camaraderie in the eddy is always good, too. You can see the athletes kind of chatting with each other. There's Adria checking in with his coach. But go. So Landon Miller, just a fun fact here, Landon is actually only 15 years old, which makes him technically only eligible to have competed in the junior class this year. So he is coming into this competition as a junior, competing with the men in both the OC1 and the C1.
Which is pretty amazing. I also saw him in the squirt boat earlier this week. One of the two that were using C1s in squirt boat this week. So Landon showing that he is a pretty diverse athlete here in Whitewater. He'll be up next. I believe he's starting from the river left, just outside of our view here. So we'll see him in the hole fairly soon. Beautiful Sword Spain. I love the clear water. We can see right to the bottom. Blue, clear mountain water here. It's pretty beautiful.
It really is, and I really love how they've worked to make this stadium a feature that's going to continue to just really improve and integrate kayaking into the life of the town after this event is over, which is something that's really cool. You see a lot of the locals out here all week coming to check out what's going on. And I know that they're just waiting to all get on the water themselves once this competition is over. We have Landon Miller in the hole, starting things off with a cartwheel, moving right into a backwards move, maybe trying to spin that big dog open canoe around. There he goes, using that crossbow stroke. His paddle actually goes across his body. Oh, an unfortunate flip and flush for young Landon. Hopefully he can use his youth and strength to work it back up the eddy really quickly there. I've seen this kid McNasty and loop this open canoe, and I'm hoping to see him put down something spectacular in this ride.
Absolutely. Here he goes, dropping in right away. Going for a crossbow there. Maybe actually trying a phonics monkey. We're not sure. Yeah. Going for some cartwheels, rolling it back up, still in the hole. You can see that boat, all the water filling up into that boat, making it more difficult for him to move that boat around, but he doesn't seem to be having any trouble as he tries for a bit of a cartwheel, still in the hole, and that'll be 45 seconds for Landon Miller.
Yeah, 45 seconds. It seems like both a long time and a really short time to be able to show the crowd and the judges all the hard work you've put into coming here and getting to this Worlds. At 45 seconds goes really fast when you're the one on the water, doesn't it? It
absolutely does. Landon's headed over, a little bit of a review there. As you can see on the screen, getting a bit of a cartwheel there, two vertical ends, and then from a different angle, you can see kind of rolls back over, still retaining it in the hole.
Yeah, you occasionally will see paddlers either initiate or start or finish a move without the use of one paddle blade. Landon's score coming in at 10 points there. Points on the board, a good place to start.
Absolutely. So they have two rides here in our preliminary rounds. Both rides will be added together to give them their placing to see if they move on to the semifinals later this week.
We have semifinals, is that right? There's that many athletes. Wow, that's really incredible. So that means that of the 12 paddlers here today, we will be cutting to the top 10.
Absolutely.
Will then go on. So each ride is going to count because those two scores will be combined.
Absolutely, that's the way it's working today here. So we have 12 paddlers on the water today, although I believe Caleb Kennedy is out, so making it actually 11 paddlers on the water. And we'll be cutting down to 10 paddlers for a semifinal later in the week, and then on to the top 5 for the final, I believe, is Thursday evening.
Yeah, so only one unlucky person may get the cut today.
That's right.
That's harsh.
That is tough.
That's freestyle.
That is, well, I think that's any sport, really. All right, the next up, we've got Adam Ramadan from Great Britain.
So Adam, a couple of fun facts here about Adam. His license plate actually says C1 Afro. That's how passionate he is about this sport. I also heard a rumor that he's going to be competing wearing nothing but Speedos all week. Yep, there it is. You can see it on the screen there. Hopefully they're not going to zoom in much closer than that as he spins that boat around, going for that horizontal move, 360 degrees of rotation. Oh, how somehow he stays in the feature.
That's right. He's paddling a fairly large boat called a Spanish Fly, which has lots of volume. And yes, he is wearing the Speedo. He was trotting around on the other side of the river a little while ago, showing off that Speedo.
Trying to get as much sun as possible on the thighs, tanning up, bronzing up for this Worlds because, you know, look good, feel good, paddle good. I believe Absolutely. That is the saying.
That water is awfully cold to be wearing just a Speedo, in my opinion, but that's all right. I'm wearing a dry top and in a kayak. I'm not sure I'd be out there in a Speedo as he drops back into the hole. Again, spinning it around.
going for those crossbow maneuvers. Is he using the handle of his paddle there? That is an unusual technique, but it seems to be working for him.
Absolutely.
Does that make it a C1.5?
Well, maybe. I'm not 100% sure there, but I have seen lots of C1ers actually use their hands. They'll stick their fingers out to catch a little bit of water. Actually, a former world C1 champion, Paul Danks, at one point in time, he put a little guard on the top of over his T-grip that gave him a little bit, and the ICF told him he wasn't allowed to do that because they thought maybe it was a second blade. But that's okay. Adam coming in with a score of 20 points.
That'll put him above Landon so far, but those are going to be... I haven't seen Adria's score. Did you catch Adria's score earlier?
I did not. I believe it came up on the screen, but unfortunately we didn't catch it. But that's okay. Next up, we've got the flying Canadian Marc Godbout. Although he has a French name, he does not speak any French. He's sponsored by Soul Waterman, Shaggy Designs, Level 6, and Roy's Auto Pro. He drives a really old beat-up van, so he's pretty happy to have an auto sponsor. He flew here with me. So we've got Marc Godbout from Canada getting the thumbs up from our head judge, Paul Shepard, over on the judges booth as he's about to drop into this feature here in Sword, Spain. One
of my favorite things about Marc is that he really exemplifies the Canadian niceness. He's just always smiling, always having a good time as he's setting up, trying to go for that spin. That was a very fast spin, trying to retain the feature. So the athletes must complete each of their moves in the feature for them to be counted by the judges. I have to say, I'm very grateful I am not a judge here at this World. That is a challenging job. And what we call does not mean that is what these athletes are scoring. We are not judges. Oh, he goes for the spin, maybe he gets back looped, and he is unfortunately out of the feature.
With only 15 seconds left, he's going to struggle to get back up into the feature with that little time left, but he's trying.
You'll notice that a lot of these athletes are going to be putting down fairly safe rides this first round here, trying to just get points on the board, working it through slowly. It's all about consistency at this point in the game.
And that's it for Marc's first ride. We'll see his score here in a few minutes, but Marc's always got a smile on his face and happy about what's going on out there on the water. Pretty amazing. Next up, we'll have Jonas Gutenberg from Germany as we wait for Marc's coming in. A bit of a replay there, and Marc's very fast spins in slow-mo. You can see a bit of a wing over there, maybe trying to roll back up into the hole as he flushed out from that ride. And you can see Marc.
I like his sun visor. That's clever, actually. You can see his style points are really through the roof right now. I hope he gets a bonus for that.
He said he needed to bring a helmet that was approved by ICF. Marc coming in with 20 points there for his first ride. He'll be happy with that. You can see these guys have to climb out and empty the water out of their boats before they go for their next ride.
I believe there was also an athlete one year who put a bilge pump in his boat, and the ICF also said that was not allowed. So I love the ingenuity that comes along with the OC1 class.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of these OC1 paddlers do paddle with bilge pumps regularly when they're paddling and running rivers in OC1. As Jonas is on the wave, spinning it around, you can see, looks like he's got a bit of a modified kayak, trying there for a McNasty. Coming back still in the feature. We'll see what the judges have to say. If the angles were correct on that McNasty, they have to land
between 20 degrees upstream in either direction. So if you're thinking about a clock face, and if 12 o'clock was upstream, that's between, what is that? That's the 11 and the 1, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So Jonas working his way around here. He's in a crossbow position, working across the hole, spinning it around, racking up those points. He's also using the opposing T-grip hand there to help spin him around as he washes it out of the hole with 10 seconds left. I'm pretty sure he's not getting back up to the hole with that.
He seems happy with that ride. He's going to wave that off. I've seen Jonas actually traveling around the world with his canoe. He goes creek boating, running grade 4 or 5 rivers in the canoe and open canoe, which I think is really impressive.
There he is. Here's the replay in slow-mo of Jonas getting those spins. You can see his modified, looks like a kayaker C1 as he pulls it around, going for that McNasty.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the judges say about that. But the McNasty is one of those higher scoring moves on the score sheet. So,
all right, he's coming in with a 21.67 from the judges, putting him, I believe, in the lead currently.
Maybe you'll notice that 1.67, there are 3 judges out there today.
Yes.
And I think what they do is they take that median score. So occasionally you'll get these weird points where maybe one judge awarded a trick that another one didn't.
Yes.
Again, each view's got a different viewpoint. So everything they see is just slightly different to try and give the athletes the fairest score possible.
Absolutely. So next up, we've got our Spanish paddler, Adria Bosch Roca from España. Spain. There he is, open canoe. You can see he's ready. That's right, we're hearing that Jonas Gutenberg is our leader here as we're waiting for our Spanish paddler in the eddy as he's going to make his way up here in beautiful Sort, Spain. Everybody's trying to hide from the sun. It is blistering hot, blue skies for days. I hear parts of Spain are actually on fire right now. And here we are with our Spanish paddler on the wave.
Here we go, starting things off again, looking for that shove it. We'll see if they have to guess it. He has to get both fully backwards and then back fully forwards, only using one paddle stroke. Maybe possibly linking that into a spin. Every trick now, this is a new rule, has a link bonus. So you can actually link those lower scoring points, which could be a huge benefit for the smart OC1 competitor. It looks like he's unfortunately maybe flushing into the eddy pretty low down. We'll see if he can make it back to the top. He's working for it. I've seen Adria out here paddling all week in a C1 as well as a K1, and he is a talented athlete. It's really cool to see these guys paddle across disciplines. Oh, right back into the feature, going for the spin, making use of that time left on the buzzer, trying to get that shove it in, and maybe the opposite spin. Adria proving that you don't necessarily need all 45 seconds to get points on the board.
That's right, Anna. That was a great ride from Adria as he drops in for a loop after the buzzer, pulling it around, flushing out of the hole there. Unfortunately, though, that won't count, but pretty amazing to see these big open boats throwing the loops.
Yeah, crowd pleaser. I love it.
Absolutely. As we see the replay of Adria's run here, that'll be his second run here in the preliminary round, second and final run. Looks like he's got a score of 20 points again, so he'll be adding those two together from last ride. I believe he had a 20 on the last ride as well, giving him a total of 40 points here for the preliminary rounds.
I feel like this is going to be one of those preliminary rounds where they're going to need a lot of tiebreakers.
There may be some tiebreakers, and we'll see how that works out. As we wait for our next paddler, Landon Miller of the USA, to make his way up to the top of the eddy for the next round.
Landon will also be competing in the C1 later this week. So again, using this maybe as a warm-up as well as its own sport. Look at him having fun out there, 15 years old. Both of his parents are here cheering him on, as well as his younger brother. I think that's the great thing about canoeing and kayaking in general, just a really great family-friendly sport.
Absolutely. Some of these athletes are amazing multi-sport athletes as well. He's a former BMX racer, about to show us what he has here on the feature in Sort, Spain. And there he is dropping onto the wave. Right away trying for a bit of a cartwheel, flushing out. Unfortunately, to score these moves, they have to retain the wave. So he's working his way back up, still has 38 seconds on the clock, so lots of time to get in there and score a few points as Landon drops into this feature here at Sort, Spain. Looks like he's trying for that cartwheel again, getting it nice and vertical, pulls it around there. Maybe not quite vertical enough to call it a cartwheel, but definitely a spin. He also thought it wasn't vertical as he tries again for that cartwheel.
He wants that trick.
Absolutely, 19 seconds left. So he might still have enough time to make it up into the feature.
So far he's got at least, I think, one spin on the board. But again, it's really hard to tell from our angle what tricks these athletes are completing to the judges. And unfortunately, that is going to be it for Landon's second ride.
That's right. He's definitely stepped it up there in his second ride, going for some bigger moves, going for those cartwheels, trying to show these old guys that the young kids got what it takes to maybe get himself into the next round.
Yeah, you know, I think it's all about like that go big, go hard, or go home, right? These play it safe, stay on the horizontal axis, or just go right for those higher scoring vertical tricks like those cartwheel ends. But again, they can be harder to score because they each have to be at a certain place. Landon coming in with 20 points for his second ride.
Awesome score for Landon Miller as we move on to the Speedo-wearing Brit, Adam Ramadan.
I've heard rumor that Adam is in a tanning competition with one of his UK or Great Britain teammates, James Bebbington or Pringle, who's competing later this week in the senior K1 men. So don't be surprised to see the two of them out on the rocks this week.
I don't know. I think Adam's going to win that one hands down because Pringle seems to hide a bit from the sun.
Going for the cartwheels.
And retaining them in the hole as he spins it back around.
Really showing off that C1 mastery of just positioning and understanding how to edge the kayak to not have your bow or your stern catching the green water. You'll see that sometimes happens. Paddler will drop an upstream edge and just flip over, doing what we call a window shade maneuver. Instead, Adam is staying nice and in control, working for those shove-its, switching the hands around there.
You know, there was a day where that would have scored you some points doing a little bit of a paddle twirl.
Little artistic bonus.
That's right. As Adam keeps it moving with a shove it, going into a cartwheel, and there, maybe a split wheel there. Not really sure. That big boat's flopping around in there pretty good. A huge ride for Adam Ramadan from Great Britain in his second run here in the preliminaries.
I think the hardest part of this must be paddling back to the eddy once your canoe is full of water.
I've tried it a few times. It's definitely a lot of work. And, but you know what? It's also some of the most fun I've had on the river. You know, I'm from the Ottawa River. It's beautiful. The water's warm in the summer there. So we play around a lot different. You know, we bring out surfboards, open canoes, different boats now and again, and just have fun. We swim the river sometimes too. Very safe river. Which brings us up to an Ottawa local, Mark Gutenberg from Canada.
Is it true that the canoe actually originated in Canada? Does this give him an advantage?
Well, I'm hoping, but I'm just Canadian. We'll see what Mark has here. All right, yes, there's a lot of open canoe history. They say that it opened our country, and the rivers were our highways at one point in time in Canada as well. So Mark dropping into the hole here, and let's see what he has for us. So right away, he's spinning it up.
Trying to work out to that green shoulder, but not flush off the wave. Oh my goodness, how did he save that and manage to stay upright? That was some skill right there on that brace stroke.
Absolutely. Mark is a very strong athlete. We're going to see him later in the C1. He's had some pretty high-flying action there. I've also seen some pretty big air out of him in the canoe, and he's hoping for some of that right now as he drops back into the feature here.
19 seconds on the clock.
All right, 17 seconds left. Oh, and an unfortunate flush again. I'm not sure he'll have enough time to get back up there, but let's hope the crowd cheers him along as he's going to go for it and charge his way back up here with 5 seconds left.
Again, in this preliminary round, both rides count. So for the athlete, is scoring as much as possible in both rides is going to matter.
Absolutely. Mark's second ride may not have been as strong as his first ride, so we'll see a little bit of the action here in slow-mo. Loving this boom cam with the overhead shots as Mark tries to pull it around. You see he caught a bit of an edge there, but bracing it back up, not even getting his hair wet, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, these things are not that easy to maneuver or move around, and it's just, to me, it's amazing to think that the canoe kind of started, if you think about it, as a means of transportation. Mark coming in, was that a 20 points for his second score?
Mark Gutenberg, yes, coming in with a score of 20 points. I think we're going to have a lot of ties here in our preliminary rounds. All right, next up from Germany, we have Jonas Gutenberg.
So Jonas last ride tried that higher scoring point than McNasty. We'll see what he has for us this time, starting off in that side surf. Going for the crossbow, maybe trying to spin it around here. Trying to find his purchase. Executing a beautiful spin.
That's right, that spin's a 360-degree spin on the wave or in the foam pile.
Spinning it back in the direction, maybe trying for that shove it. Shove it is one of those tricks that it seems deceptively easy. It's on the lower end of the scoring point range, but is really hard to pull off correctly.
That's right, you've got to go 180 to 180 degrees, and you can't go past that. You have to do it with a paddle continuously in the water, as he looks like he's trying for some more vertical moves, falling over on his off side, which means the side without a paddle blade, as he flushes out of the hole. And that'll be it for Jonas. And we'll be moving on to our second preliminary round in that heat. Or sorry, our second preliminary heat with Jordan Rothenburger, Sean Clement, Jez, Tom Lay, Philippe Joseph, and Jean-Yves Lustru from France. All right, so that's USA, Austria, France, Germany, and another France paddler in this heat.
Jonas's score, I believe, came in at 35 points, which may have been the highest scoring single ride in that first heat. So he may be at the top of the leaderboard currently, setting the bar for that next heat to know what they have to beat to make it into the next round.
Absolutely, Anna. Awesome day here at Sort, Spain. Sun's out. Everybody's enjoying themselves, trying to stay in the shade, get out of this heat wave. Some people are resorting to jumping into the what it looks about 5-degree kind of snow melt or bottom-fed dam water. The water is absolutely frigid here, which has been quite refreshing at times. The pool in town is open and free to everybody in this heat wave, so it's been pretty amazing to see so many people out at the local pool as well. Sort Spain has definitely welcomed us to their town and embracing us here. as we're seeing some of the replays from the OC1 class. We'll be getting our next heat up here. You can see the heat list up. Here's our leaderboard.
Oh.
Right now, we've got the Spanish paddler, Adria, in the lead. Caleb Kennedy, you can see a 0 there. He did not end up competing here in this OC1 category with troubles with finding a boat.
Yeah, that is the challenge of these larger boats, is both owning one and being able to travel with one, as we said before. That's
right. Some of the airlines have been cooperative with flying boats here for us, which has been pretty amazing. I flew here with 2 boats, which I thought was going to be a bit more of a hassle than it was, but I got them here no problem and been having fun with both of them so far.
You know, one of the great things, too, is I've heard a lot of the athletes actually talking about trying to sell gear here in Spain or leave gear where it's harder for people to get them. We've got our heat list up for our next heat. It's going to be Jordan Poffenberger from the US of A, Sean Clement from Australia, Jez also from Australia, Tom Lay from France, Philippe Joseph of Germany, and Jean-Yves Moustreau from France. So I heard that Jean-Yves also had issues with his OC1 boat earlier this week, but I do see him on the water. So it sounds like those have been resolved. As you said before, there are rules for how much water or the volume that these boats are required to hold. Is that correct?
Absolutely. They have to be able to get 40 liters of water in there. As we see Jordan Poffenberger moving up to the wave here for his first ride in the preliminary rounds. Jordan is in the hole, a little bit of a side surf, pulling it around, trying for a McNasty right off the bat. Not sure he got the angles right, but he did pull it around. Let's see what the judges have to say on the scoreboard as he's doing some spinning around on the shoulder here, flushing high in the top of the pile as he's trying to work his way back into this feature.
Jordan is a former OC1 world champion, so he knows what he is doing. He knows how to compete smartly, get those little points on the board as well as the bigger tricks. He will also be competing in C1 later this week. He is just a really fun, explosive, dynamic paddler to watch as he's spinning that boat around, making it look easy. Going for the loop. Oh, not quite getting it, but that was a beautiful pop-up. I believe that would have scored back in the day.
Absolutely. Ender used to be a move that did score, and that's what we called those. Next up, we've got Sean Clement from Australia.
I don't know much about this kid, but he must be excited to be paddling with Mentor and one of our announcers, or really our lead announcer here, Jez from Australia.
Absolutely. You're going to hear Jez up here later this afternoon as well. And he's a fellow countryman of our next paddler, Sean Clement from Australia. As we hang out here, trying to stay cool in this heat.
Jordan waiting for his scores to pop up on the board.
Jordan getting a 23.33 from our judges. We've got a multinational judge panel from all over the world. Our head judge, Paul Shepard from Great Britain, keeping all those judges in line and calling all the shots. He'll be giving the paddlers the thumbs up when it's their turn to go. He's the man in charge out here.
Yeah, really couldn't ask for a better head judge at this Worlds event. Just always got a smile on his face, very approachable, knows the rules, really professional. There's a lot to be said for the judging staff that have worked really hard to get here. You know, I took a judges training course myself early this year, and it just gave me a lot of respect for the amount of knowledge that the judges have to have about both the sport, the rules, the classes, the moves, and the difficulty of sitting up there all day watching these rides and calling the moves.
Absolutely, and I did the course in 2015, was asked to be head judge in 2015 as well, and it was quite a stressful course, but unfortunately because I was competing as well in 2015, they told me I couldn't be head judge, so I ended up doing the announcing as well. So with myself, Ken Hovey, and Jez, we had a couple others in there as well, so it was pretty amazing on the Ottawa River to see where we had a wave feature, very dynamic wave feature there. And here we have what we would call a hole feature, which is also a very dynamic hole. We're seeing lots of great moves. We do see some people, they will strike the bottom of the river occasionally. As our next paddler is working his way up into this feature, Sean Clement from Australia.
Coming in, starting it off strong, paddling what looks to be Jonas Gutenberg's boat from the last round. Oh no, he is upside down, going for that roll, missing it, carving a roll. Will he roll up in time? Oh,
struggling
goodness.
with that roll. There he is.
Just making it. It looks like he will not be able to make it back into the feature on this ride, as he is below the actual eddy. but still working his hardest to get over to the side of the river and hopefully prepare for his next ride.
We'll see him back up here for his second ride.
That's right, shaking it off, Sean. Only takes one big trick.
That's right. And we've got Jez on the water up next from Australia. He's one of our fellow announcers. He's kind of keeping us in line here as we see the replay here for Sean. Pull it on, trying to get that spin around, catching a bit of an edge, as you can see, flipping upside down, then having a little bit of trouble rolling this boat up. I think he's borrowing it from Jonas Gutenberg, so may not be used to how the boat rolls or performs out there on the water.
Yeah, it's always challenging adapting to just a slightly different canoe or kayak, just the timing of the feature. So Sean, unfortunately, getting a 0 on that first ride. That's right, as he's making his way up the rocks on the side of the river. Hopefully someone will be able to give him a hand shortly. It looks like Jez is going to be actually dropping on from above the feature, maybe trying what we call an entry move, where you can actually score points on your first way into the feature, on your first trick as you hit the feature. Or you could simply feel that it's a safer way to stay in the feature. Again, going for that entry move and retaining it. I see a fist pump. He's excited. I'm excited. That was impressive.
That's right. Jez claiming it there. He's happy. Jez has been a busy man all week. Lots of announcing, running some of the opening ceremonies. And there he is. He gets to spin. He's happy about that as well. Yeah, he's just having a good time out there as he spins it back around, trying for that shove it.
He's clearly the paddler having the most fun on the water so far. Jez has got a ton of stoke. This guy actually spends most of his summers working with kids at Falling Creek Camp in North Carolina, getting them stoked and fired up on kayaking. He leads trips all over the world, bringing teenagers down whitewater.
Absolutely, and recently becoming a father with his wife, Claire O'Hara, who we'll also see in the water. In the replay here, see that amazing wing over, just throwing his body under the boat, retaining it in the feature, and then hopefully they'll show in slow-mo here. Hopefully they'll show the claim. Oh, there it is again. They're showing it up close.
Jez, fun fact about Jez is he is really tall. Yes. I think he may actually be too tall to fit comfortably in a kayak, which is one of the reasons why he has chosen the C1 as his kayak of choice. It says here he started kayaking after the Olympics in Sydney. Oh, Jez with a score of 40 points, putting him on top of this heat for sure. I mean, he's only the second paddler, but that is really a strong score to start things off. Absolutely
amazing ride from Jez there. And he was showing that he's one of the happiest competitors out there, just having fun, finally getting out on the water. I know he's had a busy week with having a young baby here and running around and doing all kinds of organization.
Wife Claire also competing in the K1 class.
That's right, as we got Tom Lay on the water there.
Tom Lay going for the loop, going for one of those aerial maneuvers. There are bonuses available if you can get the boat fully aerial or away from the wave. See what happens here. Trying to work into that side surf, maybe going for a spin or a shove it as he carves out to the corner. Oh no, an unfortunate flush off the side there. Tom from Lyon, France, home to some of the best surf waves for kayaking in the world. I'm sure this guy is no stranger to large and powerful features. Struggling a bit with the eddy line as he goes to cross it there.
I think he's actually trying to dump some water out of his boat there.
That was a tactical maneuver.
So yeah, it looked like he was bobbling, but I think he's actually pretty well balanced, trying to get some of the water out of that open canoe. As 1 second as he drops into the feature.
And unfortunately, that will be his ride.
And that's it for his first ride. Tom Lay having a beautiful loop right off the bat there, scoring some huge points. And here it is in the replay. Let's see if it came around straight. Looks like he pulled it pretty straight around to finish it. We'll see if the judges count that for him. There it is from a different angle. That's kind of the same angle that the judges would have seen it there as he rolls up. Loving these slow-mo replays for us. Looking awesome as we are announcing out to the world on the live stream. If you're out there and you want us to give you a shout-out, send me or Anna a message and we'll give you a shout-out here from Sword, Spain. It's absolutely beautiful, sunny day here. We've had the best weather I've ever seen for any World Championships or any kayaking event I think I've ever been to that's this long. You know, Ottawa River, we had some crazy thunderstorms to start off the event, and a few other storms rolled throughout the week. Argentina was also some storms there.
Don't speak too soon here, Matt. You don't want to jinx us.
Yeah, we are only on day one.
This is the first event of the freestyle. We did it with sport boating earlier this week. This is the first event, the OC1 Open Canoe, to take place here in this new stadium in downtown Sort, Spain. We've got young Philippe Joseph up on the wave, sporting that top deck from his home country of Germany, the red, yellow, black colors of the German flag.
Making his way back up the eddy with 32 seconds left on the clock. He's got lots of time to make a few moves here in the feature. Right, as he drops on with 21 seconds left, he goes right into going for a loop. Pulls it up and around. You can see he's chose to wear a dry suit, which may or may not be more appropriate than the Speedo we saw earlier.
It's a tough call. I think there's got to be a happy medium on that spectrum, but, you know, to each his own. Philippe Joseph also only 17 years old, so like Landon, could be competing in a junior class if there was one. Unfortunately, such limited numbers of OC1 paddlers out there that it is all one opens class. No age limits on it.
Absolutely. So now we've got the French paddler, Jean-Yves Monstreux, making his way up. We're not far from France here in the northern Spain in the Pyrenees Mountains. Beautiful area. Looking around, you can see the mountains above us. A couple of ski resorts just up the road here in Rialp. It's definitely an outdoor adventure mecca here in Sort, Spain.
So Jean-Yves was first in the C1 for the World Cup, the first World Cup here in Sort, Spain, which took place last summer. So he is familiar with this venue, even though the feature has changed significantly since then. I've seen him out here working all week. If you look at his OC1, to me, it almost looks as though he glued a crate of wine on top of an existing kayak. How very French. Going for the spin right off the bat there with a tricky little paddle switch, trying for a shove it.
Oh, and he's off the feature. 37 seconds back up. In 2017 in San Juan, Argentina, he was in 6th place in the C1 category, the deck boats. Let's see what he has for us here in the OC1 category. He's spinning it around to the left as he works out onto that river left shoulder, going backwards, maybe trying to set up for a McNasty. Let's see as he carves back out. He's going to spin it around again, trying to get it backwards. Here it goes. Oh, he's definitely looking. I think
for
he's
that McNasty.
Absolutely, he is. You can see he's using his hand off his paddle to try and set up. Here it goes. He's going for it. He's going to throw it this time, not quite pulling it around as he flushes off the off the hole,
Still,
and that is it.
Strong first ride for Jean-Yves. Points on the board, competing smart, trying those smaller tricks that you know are likely to score before going for those bigger aerial moves in which you could potentially flush off the feature. Making really good use of that entire 45-second ride.
That's right. Next up, we've got Jordan Poffenberger from the US of A former OC1 world champion from, I believe it was 2013.
Jordan is another paddler. His dad Ned, also a canoeist, that really grew up paddling a canoe or a C1 as opposed to a K1 or a kayak. So, you know, Jordan has raced the green race, done most of the extreme races around the world or in the United States in a C1, which is, again, a really impressive feat of athleticism for me. He really knows what he's doing in that OC1, and it's really fun to watch just the progression of these paddlers from year to year as they come back to compete in World Championship after World Championship.
Absolutely. The veteran paddler from the USA, Jordan Poffenberger, getting ready for his second ride here in the preliminary rounds of the OC1.
I'm just reading a little bit on his bio here. Fun fact about Jordan, he is the current C1 waterfall world record holder, running Metlaco Falls over in Oregon in the United States, which is a 90-foot waterfall. So I don't think he took that black fly off of it, but still a 90-foot waterfall in a canoe or in a closed-deck canoe or a C1 is pretty impressive. Absolutely.
Any big waterfalls like that are pretty impressive. Pushing the edge of the extreme river running in whitewater is absolutely amazing where it has gone there as we wait for Jordan to get ready for his second and final ride here in our preliminary rounds of OC1. After the OC1, we're going to be moving into our K1 junior men's category, which some of these boys are making the men tremble a little bit because it's not going to be very long until these boys are going to be competing with the men. Most of them probably...
Shawnee score up on the board there, 10 points for his first ride. So maybe a little bit lower than he would have liked, but still, points on the board is points on the board.
Absolutely. They combine both rides here in prelims, so those 10 points may be what he needs to add up to a winning run here in Sort, Spain, as Jordan Poffenberger is dropping onto the wave right away into a side surf, pulling it around.
Going for the McNasty. Oh, that was beautiful.
I think he got it. We'll see what the judges have to say.
I hope so.
Me too, as he spins it around over on the river left shoulder.
Jordan not choosing to play it safe. He's like, nah, you know what? I'm going to start off with that highest scoring move as soon as I can before my boat fills up with water. It makes it even harder than before.
Absolutely, as he's working his way over to the other side of the wave, getting that spin in the other direction.
Trying for a clean spin, maybe a
go.
super clean spin on that, doing the full 360 degrees of rotation without a paddle blade in the water.
10 seconds left, and he goes for that loop. Unfortunately, flushing out the back, but that was a pretty amazing ride. That McNasty, which we'll see, I'm sure, here in the replay, was absolutely amazing. One of the most difficult moves to do in any boat.
There it is, right there.
An open canoe as he pulls it around.
Yeah, so the McNasty is a trick that we're going to be seeing a lot over the next few days. This feature is actually a really great feature for it. In the McNasty, you need to move from a front or side serve. You need to get your boat at least 150 degrees rotation of turning upstream before going for that front loop. So there's both like a spin and a flip in that trick.
Absolutely, as Jordan's waiting for his score to come up on the screen here.
He looks pretty happy with that ride. We'll see what the judges have to say. You know, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but when you feel good in your boat, I think that's sometimes more important.
Absolutely, Anna. All right, still waiting on Jordan's score here. Our next competitor, Clement from Australia, on deck, waiting for the score to come in for Jordan. Looks like we're losing our shade umbrella into the river downstream.
Jordan with a 58.33. So it doesn't sound like they would have scored him the McNasty, but still racking up the points on that clean spin.
Absolutely, with the points and the way the score came in there, I believe that some of the judges would have given them the McNasty, but not all of the judges. If you saw it again in the replay, when he landed, his boat twisted a little bit past that 20 degrees to upstream. So that may have been why it wasn't scoring for some of the judges as Clement drops into this feature.
Again, going for, looking like getting a window shade, hopefully staying upright in the hole. Shawn having a few difficulties on his last ride, rolling upright, making the eddy, working hard. He's still got 30 seconds. Heaps of time here.
As he's trying to charge back up the eddy, 24 seconds left on the clock. Should be enough time to get back into the hole.
Maybe get a spin, one of those shove-its, just get some points on the board. Again, the pressure is on here. 2 rides, both count in this preliminary round, as we are looking to cut 1 or 2 paddlers to move on to the next round.
And that'll be it for Mr. Clement from Australia as he flows on downstream. I think he's having a little bit of trouble in that boat that he borrowed there. You can see in the replay there, catching a bit of an edge, flipping over.
Oh, that looked violent.
It definitely looked a little bit violent. You're right, rolling back up into the feature.
I have to say they've done a phenomenal job here in sort of creating this feature with a limited amount of time that they had to do so, you know, given the water flows, the difficulties of working with the dam upstream, building a stadium. And I know a lot of the athletes have struggled to get as much time as they would have liked practicing on the feature.
Absolutely. It's, you know, we're here, we have team training slots where we, as Canada, we had about 27 minutes, I believe it was.
I see Shep giving the official thumbs up to our Australian and fellow announcer Jez going for another one of those entry moves. Let's see if he can stick it again this time. So Jez is looking to do almost a barrel roll as he enters the feature. Oh, that was beautiful. Maybe even getting air on that. Look at that stoke. He is excited, trying for a shove-it.
There you go. That was pretty amazing. Jez getting a little bit of a pop-up air there in that wing over as he's trying for some spins on the shoulder, getting them. I think we even saw a shove-it coming in from Jez. Awesome ride here. Jez showing some huge Aussie spirit. He's always been helping out, an amazing guy, an ambassador for the sport. All right, Jez having an amazing ride. All right. That was it for Jez's second ride. Checking out this wing over. Look at that boat right out of the water. Absolutely amazing start for Jez's second run here in our preliminary rounds for OC1. I have a feeling we'll probably see him in the semifinals later on this week and hopefully into the finals. I think he'd be pretty happy to make finals.
I agree.
Although that'll make us have to probably work more because he's usually up here announcing throughout the week. We're gonna have a few different announcers on the air. Myself and Anna will be signing off after the OC1, but you'll hear us back on the air a little bit later in the week and later today as well.
100 points for a total score, so 60 on his second ride, 40 on his first ride. That may put Jez on the top of the leaderboard for right now, but either way, he is excited. You know, there is debate if there is an advantage to the athletes going in the later heats, knowing what the scores are that they need to beat to be able to get into this next round.
Absolutely. All right.
Tom Lay from France, hailing from Lyon, France, again trying for the McNasty. Tom just wasting no time as he tries for another loop there, just going right for the bigger scoring moves. Look at his boat just splashing full of water there.
I think that's making it difficult as he washes out of the back of the hole. He has 29 seconds left. He's making his way into the eddy, bobbling a little bit with that boat that's full of water. Let's see if he's got what it takes to charge all the way up to the top of the eddy. He's got a long way to get there, and 16 seconds left on the clock.
Looks like he may be calling it as he heads downstream instead.
Unfortunately, that is the reality with open boats, is when they fill up, they're a lot more difficult to move around.
You know, 1 liter of water actually weighs 1 kg or 1 kilogram.
Which is 2.2 pounds.
And so if you think about that, I think these boats are designed to hold a minimum of 40 liters. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so we're almost like around 90 pounds, I believe that would be.
In addition to the weight of the actual boat itself.
Absolutely. That makes it a lot more difficult to throw around. So you can see why some of these athletes look like they're struggling to move some of these big boats. But it's pretty amazing to see when they do move those boats.
Tom, unfortunately, not scoring any points on that second ride as he makes his way bushwhacking back up there, looking to stabilize himself. But hopefully that will be enough to get him through to the next round, and he can have some time to try again. I see a thumbs up from Shep here, which means we're ready for our next athlete, Philippe Joseph from Germany. Again, 17 years old.
Young kid. I've seen him out here in practice. I've seen McNasties and loops out of him. So he's going for that right away. Loop, I would give that air if I was judging. Pretty amazing loop there. Flushing out a little bit afterwards, but I'd say he retained it. We'll see what the judges have to say. 36 seconds left on the clock for him to get back up to this feature. Let's see what he's got for us here. Philip, been paddling for a number of years in these OC1 categories, having a good time. All right, Philip dropping back in. Let's see what he's got for us as he spins it around. Going for that shove it over onto the surfer's right side or river left side as he spins around in the middle, showing some excellent skill here in the OC1, spinning around backwards, maybe trying to set up for a McNasty, going for another loop, and that'll be it for the young German paddler, Joseph. On deck, we've got Jean-Yves from France. The 26-year-old paddler was first at the first World Cup in Sort Spain last year and 6th at the last World Championships in Sort Spain, or sorry, in San Juan, Argentina. That was another beautiful spot to host a Worlds 2 years ago in 2017. They also had a giant heat wave down there. Philippe Joseph from Germany getting 110 points total, moving him well into the lead. He'll be happy with that ride. Get a little bit of water over there. You can see here on the screen some of the beautiful arena here in Sort, Spain. He's going to be happy with that ride down there. See some of the Canadian fans in the crowd there. Next up from France, we've got Jean-Yves Mostrou dropping onto the feature. It looks like he's got maybe a wine box or crate on the top of his boat there to make it an OC1 boat. These guys have to be able to have certain dimensions of the opening of the cockpit. They have to have inflatable inflation bags in the boat for buoyancy, as well as it has to hold 40 liters of water. 22 seconds left as he drops back into the hole here in Sort, Spain. Side surfing, trying to get set up for something. I think he's going to try for a McNasty. He was trying to get it on the last ride, spinning it around. Nice quick ends and transition. 7 seconds left. He's out the back of the feature. And that'll be it for our final competitor here in our preliminary rounds for OC1. All right, beautiful day here in Sort, Spain. Competitors are having a great time. We saw Jez out there cheering it up. Some amazing competition here in the OC1. Let's see a little bit of a replay here of John Eves' ride. All right, we're going to be going down to Anna Bruno in our mixed zoned interview. Philip Joseph with that amazing ride. And there's our leaderboard there. Philip Joseph in first place, Jez in second place. All right, you can see a great shot of the feature here as we're awesome day happening here in Short Spain. Just waiting for our paddlers to for an interview down at the bottom. And there we are, signing off.
All right, I'm Anna Bruno here after the OC1 preliminary round with Jordan Rothenburger from the USA. Jordan, how was that for you? How did it feel to be out here opening up the freestyle of the world in the open canoe?
You know, it was really fun to get to paddle today, and definitely did not feel my strongest today, but I'm pretty sure I will have made it through to the next round. That's what matters so far.
It's all about getting to kayak more and just have fun. How did you feel about the level of competition here in Short Spain? How's the feature for you?
The feature is really challenging. It's one of those features. It's weird. Like, if you don't spend a day paddling it, it's really hard to come back and know how to use the feature. So I didn't paddle for the past 2 days, kind of resting up, because hopefully I'll be paddling for the next 4 days, assuming I make it through each round. So I really wanted to have enough energy, but I definitely felt the lack of not paddling for the past 2 days here. So it's a difficult feature, and the other OC1ers here, the level of competition is pretty high. So definitely going to have to step up my game for the next round.
It's always fun to see both the vertical tricks and like the aerial tricks happening. Do you think we'll start to see more of those in the next round?
Definitely. I think it's going to be, you know, especially for making it to finals and especially during finals, it's, you know, that's how we're going to win. So the winner will be the person with the biggest, probably the biggest singular aerial trick and a couple more small tricks on top of it. So, whoever gets that, somebody will get one. Maybe probably a couple people will probably be the winner.
Well, we're definitely wishing you all the best of luck in this class and all the rest of them, as well as the other athletes. Will we see you again later this week in another class?
Yep, I'll be competing tomorrow in my C1 class in the morning, and then again in OC1 in the evening.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your time here in Spain, and we're really excited to have you guys out on the water with us. Hope you're enjoying your time here.
Thanks, Anna.
All right, we will be back here with the men's junior prelims at about 12:40 this afternoon here in Short Spain. Beautiful Short Spain, right in the middle of a heat wave. We've got an amazing feature here. Awesome area here. You can see a little bit of a replay going on from our OC1 here. So I'm signing off. Anna Bruno signing off. We'll see you guys back here for the junior men's preliminary round starting at about 12:40.